everyone, it's Vesper Star as Morning Star here with another video, and I want to wish everyone a happy new year. I know I've already posted videos this year, but this is the first video that I'm actually recording this year, 2023, so I just wanted to say that. You know, when I started my practice and started diving into witchcraft and the occult, I kept coming across a bunch of terms that people would throw around, and they didn't necessarily explain them, and I had to keep digging, and even then, no one really just sat down and explained what exactly these words mean. So I thought I would just make a video explaining some of the witchcraft terms that I struggled with in the beginning of my practice, in order to help anyone that's new to the craft and is curious about these terms as well. So, to start off, you'll see a lot of people throwing around the term shadow work, like, oh, you need to do your shadow work. Shadow work is important. Maybe not so much right now, but when I first started a couple years ago, a lot of people were on that. And I still don't even really know how to properly do shadow work, but it's essentially therapy. Shadow work is basically working with your shadow, which are kind of the negative traits about yourself, or things you kind of push down and bury deep inside because they might not be like positive emotions. So shadow work is working on your inner self to try to better yourself. When I first started my practice, I really struggled with this because I didn't really know how to do shadow work. I tried journaling, it didn't really work out. And I even tried doing vent art because that could help. Personally, I'm still not really the person to give advice on how to do shadow work because I don't really know. But I think it's just one of those things you slowly work on over time as these experiences come up. Instead of pushing them down, you just kind of acknowledge them and maybe think about them a bit before shelving them. Because I don't think there's really any one right way to do it, and I'm just personally not a fan. Don't let people think that this is something you have to do, because like I said, it is therapy. It can hurt, and some people just are not ready for that kind of thing. And honestly, I would just recommend getting therapy instead if it's something you really struggle with. But for the more mundane day-to-day things that kind of hurt a little bit, like say a relative or a friend said something that kind of hurt you, or you lashed out aggressively due to some unforeseen reason, kind of take a step back and think about your emotions instead of just kind of not acknowledging them. That's basically what shadow work is. So another term that I kind of struggled with also is grounding. Now that I say it, it's a little self-explanatory, but it's basically when you're grounding yourself to the earth and reality around us. Because when you do this kind of thing, you work with spirits or do magic and spells, and you get really into occult or witchcraft topics, it's very easily to just lose your sense of reality. And, you know, as mental health is important, we really need to ground to keep ourselves tethered to this plane of existence, so we're not kind of all out over the place. I'm someone who struggles with this a lot because, you know, I'm one of those people who has just a huge imagination, and I'm just kind of always off in la la land. So grounding is basically when you're just enjoying the world around you. easiest way that I especially struggle with is going outside, kind of taking it all in, touching the grass, petting trees, I don't know. You can also ground via meditation. You can picture yourself as a tree or a mountain and just kind of imagine yourself as one with the earth. Another way that is very common for people to do is imagine yourself while in meditation just kind of growing roots into the earth, taking all your funk, giving it to the earth, and then taking up what you need back. So that's one way. And actually, because I very much struggled with grounding, when I got my tattoo, I have a tattoo of a snake on my collarbone. And when I got that tattoo, I was telling my tattoo artist, who is also a rather spiritual person, I was telling her that I struggle with grounding, and she gave me advice that even creating art or doing something like this, making a video and creating, is a form of grounding, because it's taking what is in your imagination all up in your head and then putting it into the reality around us. And that kind of helped me a lot too. The third term is casting circles, or just circles. It took me forever to realize what this was. It's basically putting like a shield around yourself before you do spell work and stuff, just to keep any negative energy and funk out of your personal space. You can do this just by mentally envisioning a bubble, or you can take your finger and kind of draw a circle around you. You put in the intention that only good things can come in. You don't want to focus on the bad and say like, bad things cannot come in here. You need to focus on good, and that's how it works. I don't know why it took me so long to figure that one out too. Like I said, sometimes these terms, it's hard to comprehend them, but then once they're laid out before you, it's like, oh, that makes sense. So that being said, you'll hear people talk about cleansing and protections as well. This is basically like cleansing your space using either sound or smoke to just kind of get out that nasty funk. And protections can be a whole video on its own, because that's just kind of warding your space against nasty funk and the things you don't want in there. And warding is basically, also synonymous with like protections and stuff. So divination basically is what is the term for communicating with spirits and other beings. So divination could be tarot cards, oracle cards, pendulums. Again, it's a vast topic that could be its own video, but it basically just means just communicating with spirits. Clairsenses are basically what in society is known as psychic abilities. So clairvoyance, clairsentience, and clairaudience are like the most common, which is sight, feeling, and then hearing. Again, a vast topic that could be their own videos, but that's basically the quick rundown. That being said, on the topic of spirits, I find it's very important to bring up the terms UPG, SPG, and VPG, which you will see a lot if you dive into spaces where people work with or worship deities. So, UPG stands for Unverified Personal Gnosis. Basically means that you have an experience with a spirit, and there's no written down history saying that spirit does that specific thing. Like, I could say a UPG I have with Lucifer is I find that he likes fairs and he really likes fair food, like funnel cakes, because I'm pretty sure nowhere is it written down that Lucifer himself likes the fair and funnel cakes. And that leads into SPG, which is shared personal gnosis. So it's essentially similar to a UPG where there's no historical documentation of your experiences, but you might share this experience with another practitioner that you know of. My friends also have this experience that Lucifer likes funnel cakes. Don't ask me why. And it's stuff like that. And then the final one is verified personal gnosis, where you have an experience with a spirit that is verified by what is written down about them. You know, working closely with Lucifer, he is a spirit that doesn't like being told what to do. He's a very rebellious spirit. And the same could be said for the others. They very much do embody what is known about them. So that's about all I have right now. If you have heard any other terms that I didn't talk about and you would like to know, just leave a comment telling me what you want to know about, and maybe I'll make another, like a part 2 video for this. But these are just the ones that I have right now that I really struggled with in the beginning. So I hope I helped some of you understand if you were curious about this. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!